What's up everybody, Stone from Stick on the Ice here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be trading away my best player after every single loss. Instead of doing this with a specific team, I'm going to be doing a fantasy draft so my team's completely random. If you want to see this done with a certain team, comment down that team in the comments below. So this is what my team's looking like at the beginning of the season. It doesn't really matter what we look like right now because this team's going to look completely different by the end of the video. Our first loss is coming just games into the season where we're falling 3-1 to the Los Angeles Kings. And with that loss, we're going to have to trade Alexander Ovechkin. And here's what we did. Ovi would be sent to the Ducks along with Athanasiou and Gaudette for William Nylander and Dylan Larkin. I think the best strategy for a video like this would be to trade for as many 82 to 84 overall players as possible, so when we reach the end of the season, we have a lineup of 80s and higher, and then we'll still be in a decent position. It wouldn't take long before we lost another game, because just 2 days later, the Kings are coming out on top once again. Another 2 players were required to bolster the depth on the team. Anze Kopitar is going to be sent to the Washington Capitals for Zach Hyman and Nito Niederreiter. A third loss would cause this team to make a very aggressive move. St. Louis is making a blockbuster deal, sending Dylan Larkin, Logan Couture, Chris Tanev, and a first-round pick to Arizona in exchange for Justin Falk, Alexander Radulov, Mike Hoffman, and a first-round pick. That move created a bit of momentum for the Blues. They would go on to win 3 straight games before losing in overtime to the Anaheim Ducks. William Nylander's time in St. Louis was short and sweet. Now he's sent off to the Pittsburgh Penguins for 2 second-rounders and Brendan Dillon. Just 2 days after losing to the Ducks, St. Louis is falling once again, but this time to the Winnipeg Jets. Another move was made with the Arizona Coyotes to acquire Marco Scandella and reacquire Chris Tanev for Ryan McDonough. St. Louis would continue to struggle, which would lead to another overtime loss versus the Carolina Hurricanes. St. Louis didn't feel the same without Ryan McDonough, so he's going to be reacquired in exchange for Mark Giordano and a first. The reacquisition of McDonough was exactly what this team needed. They would go on a tear winning 7 straight games, but that would come at a cost. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. 75% of the people that watch my videos aren't subbed to the channel. These videos take a long time to make, so any type of support, like subscribing, means a ton. Also, drop a like. I want to see if we can get 500 likes on this video. In a loss versus Columbus, Ryan McDonough would be shipped off to Buffalo in exchange for Eric Johnson, Jake Gardiner, and Braden McNabb. Just as quickly as St. Louis got hot, they would get cold, losing the next 9 games. From those losses, this team changed up quite a bit. Mikael Granlund, Brendan Dillon, and Marco Scandella would all be shipped to the Blue Jackets for Cam Atkinson, Brandon Tanev, and Tanner Pearson. Jaden Schwartz would be sent to the San Jose Sharks for Connor Murphy, a third and a fourth. Things continued to get worse. Zach Hyman was next up on the chopping block, and he would be sent away with recently acquired Tanner Pearson and a second to the New York Rangers for Vincent Trocheck and Victor Arvidsson. Trocheck's time wouldn't last long, as he would be traded days later to reacquire Mikael Granlund, and Mikael Granlund's return wasn't anything special, and he'd be shipped away days later for Charlie Coyle, Cale Fleury, and a second. We like reunions here in St. Louis, so we thought we'd have another one. Justin Falk's going to be sent over to the Rangers. In exchange, Zach Hyman would come back for a few days. Sadly, Hyman wasn't even back for a few days. He'd be traded the following day to Nashville for Jake Neighbors and a third. Mike Hoffman would be the next player sent away. St. Louis is sending him in a second to the Rangers for Cam Fowler, Mark-Edward Vlasic, and a third rounder. 2 days later, Cam Fowler's time in St. Louis came to an end, and he shipped out to Edmonton along with a third and a fourth rounder for Boone Jenner, Jan Ruta, and a third rounder. After losing 9 in a row, St. Louis got incredibly hot, winning a single game before losing to Ottawa. After being acquired from Arizona earlier in the year, Radulov's time has come to an end in St. Louis, and he's going to be sent to Nashville for a second and third rounder. The losing streak would continue for St. Louis, with them losing their next 3 games. Due to these losses, Chris Tanev would be sent to Minnesota for a second and a third. Riley Smith is sent to LA for 2 seconds and Brandon Peary, and Cam Atkinson would be sent off to Edmonton along with a second for Colton Parayko, Nick Cousins, and Ian Cole. The Blues would win 1 game before falling to the Penguins, which caused Colton Parayko in a second to be sent to Washington for Vincent Trocheck, a third and a fourth. A bit of momentum was created from the previous deal, which helped the Blues win 3 straight games. However, big changes were made in St. Louis with the next 2 trades. Trocheck's time ended real quick, and he was sent back to Washington for 2 picks. St. Louis also made a massive move, sending Nito Niederreiter, Cale Fleury, and a second to San Jose for Lars Eller, Jumbo Joe, Barclay Goodrow, Dmitry Kulikov, and a fifth. After winning 1 game, the St. Louis Blues dropped the next 3, which caused this roster to change completely. Eric Johnson, Jake Neighbors, Brandon Tanev, and a third was sent to Chicago for Jordan Staal, Derek Brassard, and Brian Dumoulin. Jordan Staal would be shipped out the following day along with prospects and picks for for Kasperi Kapanen and Sam Reinhart. And days after the previous trade, Sam Reinhart would be sent to Calgary along with Victor Mete, Derek Brassard, and Luke Glendening for Tyler Seguin, Sam Gagner, and Morgan Geekie. St. Louis would lose one more game heading into the All-Star break, which sent Tyler Seguin, Brian Dumoulin, Victor Arvidsson, and 2/3 to LA for Riley Smith, Jonas Donskoy, Brandon Saad, and John Gabriel Pageau. Things started to heat up after the break. St. Louis would win 5 in a row before falling to New Jersey, which made them send Riley Smith, Ben Hutton, Andrew Peeke, and a third to Detroit for Josh Manson and Matt Duchene. Heading towards the trade deadline, St. Louis would play 500 hockey, which resulted in 3 trades. Matt Duchene would be packed up along with 2 picks and a prospect for Alex Tuck and Kevin Hayes. Josh Manson would be sent to Carolina for Phil the Thrill in a third, and our final trade has Alex Tuck being swapped with Kyle Palmieri. So here's what our team is looking like after all the trades were made. The only position that never had anyone traded from was our goalie, and the reason for that was I didn't want to get some garbage goalie, and definitely not because I forgot to look at their overall when I was looking at who was the highest overall. Given everything, St. Louis had a decent year, finishing 11th overall with a 43, 32, and 7 record. Our leading scorer for this team was Lars Eller, who's picking up 20 goals and 38 assists for 58 points. Coming in second was Kasperi Kapanen with 57 points, and rounding out the top 3 is going to be Phil the Thrill with 55. So here's what the playoff picture is looking like. St. Louis definitely has all the depth they need, but I don't think they have that superstar talent that's going to get them over the hump. When the playoffs came to an end, the San Jose Sharks are going to be your Stanley Cup champions, with Samsonov winning the Conn Smythe. If you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking the one out on screen, and if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe.